64324767897643676. Lock. When I have plucked the rose, G.O. Grey hot. Longing still for that which longer nurseth the disease. In faith, I do not love thee. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? When I have plucked the rose, longing still for that which longer nurseth the disease. In faith, I do not love thee.
Subject for today.
Oh, hello. Oh, I didn't do the sip.
Oh, no.
I didn't do the sip this morning.
Oh, no.
And what the hell am I doing with my night? I'm not settling down for a long winter's nap.
I thought you were about to rob a Build-A-Bear.
This is weird. You guys can see me, though? The lighting and everything is okay?
Yeah,
you look
great.
good.
There.
Never been better.
I am running late today, and the reason that I'm running late is because we have some exclusive info regarding voter regularities and fraud in Michigan that no one else has talked about thus far that I know of. And I have been in touch with some people, some higher-ups who have said this is very interesting and something that needs to be looked into. And we've also made some calls to county commissions or election directors, whatever the term is. So I'm going to lay out this case for you, much like I did on Election Day regarding the early voting. Remember in early voting, keep in mind, I said, I don't know why people are saying that Florida and Ohio are toss-ups.
Yeah.
But they're not. And I said, look at the early voting data. I am entirely confident. I'd be more surprised if Ohio went blue than Texas. And I remember Ben Shapiro was on the stream when we crossed the streams with the Daily Wire. You know, with that
Never
night,
supposed
that
to.
night, the old
Sometimes you
fogey
do.
stream. Very educated.
Very.
And they were talking about, if Trump wins Ohio. I said, Ben, what are you talking? Ben, of course he's going to win Ohio. I have no doubt. And I thought I was taking crazy pills. I said he's going to win Ohio by 5 to 8 minimum, and he's going to win Florida by a handful of points, certainly more than last time. I don't know why anyone is acting like this is any different. I would bet money on it. And those two were go back and watch the election stream. I was right. I feel the same way right now because I felt like I was taking crazy pills back then. And no one was paying attention to it, and I feel the same way right now, and I'll tell you why I think this is. It's because, of course, those on the left will not cover what I'm about to provide to you. And, there are some people on the right, not all, but there are some people who are grifters who just, free speech, big tech. Right. Okay, what else you got? They're not going to put in this work. Everyone here knows that I should look like Christian Bale from The Machinist. I've been up all night combing through, and that's just Wayne County. One county. Ladies and gentlemen. So before we move on to talk about that, my half-Asian lawyer, Bill Richmond, is here.
Yo.
And that is good to know today.
Yeah. I'm here. I'm ready.
Dave Landau is here. Of course, wonderful Dave Landau from Compound Media. What's your Twitter?
Thank you. At Landau Dave.
At Landau Dave. Couldn't get Dave Landau, huh?
No.
Don't have the poll with old Castaway.
No, not me.
Porter Black Garrett is here. Audio.
Good morning. I'm
we do not
excited.
have audio Wade because he had face surgery. We're going to check in with him later. Poor guy. I miss him. I love him. Yeah. And so we have Tim from HR and Gerald A. How are you, sir?
I'm well. How are you?
Here's the thing. I'm always
angry.
happy. I'm not angry. I'm in a good mood.
Okay.
A lot of people say, well, why are you being positive? Are you putting... No, I'm not putting on appearances. I'm a Christian conservative. I live in the United States of America for at least a couple more months. And
Well, it's still.
I think that's something to be happy about.
There you go.
Yeah.
Let me right away be a downer. Before we move on to voter fraud, we're going to continue with Vote Fraud Week. Please, everyone watching right now, like this and share this.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if this stream gets taken down. I would not be surprised if this stream gets banned, even though everything I'm about to provide for you comes from the Wayne County Registration Board, their election results officially.
Yeah.
When I run out of the room, it's either because we got banned and I've got to go do some work, or I really have to pee.
Yeah. So, well, IBS.
It's
That'd be
tough.
me.
You can't spend decades eating dumplings. It's just carbs, Bill.
Or dogs.
Not
Right away demonetized because of the naughty language.
Yeah.
The racial.
And Dave, you don't need to be scared. I can see you a little scared. Like this is this is news here. What's
like,
about to happen?
Lord
It's okay.
help us.
This is going to be fun.
I'm not used to cereal.
He liked his white robe better, So
Yes,
now
he
we've
really
got
did.
him in
More
this
comfortable.
pewter robe.
Morally, I like it better.
Oh, by
Well,
the way, I need to clip this gun thing because
Oh, there you go.
well, you know what happened was I gave it to Garrett's kids.
Oh.
They had a
Again?
good time with it.
With the gun.
I gave him out on Halloween.
Would you give out a high point?
Yes.
The kid's a good shot there, by the way, Corda
Well,
Black.
it's pretty
Okay,
good.
so
Bring 'em
before we
on.
move on to voter fraud, there are a lot of stories we have to get to right off the bat. Hate to be a downer, but it is the news and it matters. Let's go to Governor Cuomo, where he was really pissy yesterday. I mean, give Stelter a run for his money when asked about schools closing due to COVID. This is a great interaction.
When we did an orange zone and a red zone in Brooklyn and Queens, and we closed the schools, don't you remember that?
It was 3 weeks ago.
Okay, so what are you talking about? What are you talking
By the way,
about?
that blurred signer
You're
looks
now
like Bill
gonna
Burr, just because we can't
override.
see him. Yeah.
We did it already. That's the law. An orange zone and a red zone. Follow the facts.
Still confused.
Well, then you're confused.
I'm confused.
Then I'll tell you what you mean.
Parents are still confused as well. The schools
Oh, they're not confused. You're confused.
No, I think
Read
parents
the
are
law.
confused as well.
Read the law, and you won't be confused.
I'll tell you why he's confused. Hold on, listen. This is great.
The schools are open by state law.
4 hours later, they were closed, just so you know.
Dang it. Does this feel like a bad version of Airplane? You're
does.
schooling and unschooling in the orange zone, but in the red zone.
And don't call me Shirley. Stop it. Stop that. With the blur there, I know he probably doesn't. It looked like Bill Burr. Didn't it look a little bit?
yeah.
He was like,
Have you
all right,
ever
listen, the fucking schools, all right? I'm not trying to be a jerk.
I just
But
see
the
him-
schools are closed because you have a virus in it. Just shut up.
I just see him doing. I hate how he sits back like the Godfather thing.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
like
yeah,
the
exactly.
high- he's at the head of the table.
Yeah, like if
Like
right, like if the Godfather were just pointing to a really small pecker. Come on.
Come on.
Yes,
come
but
on, try it.
Is he like he's like leaning back, like look deep in my nostrils and see that I'm right?
It's like needlessly angry. What
ever
happened to him
been-
before that press conference?
Runs in the family.
I don't know.
You
His
ever
brother.
been to a Turkish prison?
Hey, by the way, please do consider, as we get to some of more election fraud details, joining Mug Club, louderwithcrowder.com/Mug Club. We still
Yes,
have the
please.
promo code Crowder Election Stream. It's $30 off still because the election is not over. And as you will see, it's far from over. You're not confused. They're confused.
There's a law.
I don't know why my impression of Cuomo is like a young Serpico Al Pacino. They're here now. That's what he was. Where he's like, oh, listen, send the cops. They're here now. And then all of a sudden, he starts talking about big asses.
Change.
You're faking.
Chill.
When you see me run out, it'll be too late to have joined the blaze. We will already have been banned.
Yes.
That'll be a problem.
That's true.
Get in the
No
Mug
more.
Club.
Banned. And we'll be taking your live chat later, obviously exclusively on Mug Club. And Nick DiPaolo will be on. Your good friend there. Your good friend there, Dave Landau.
He's my buddy.
And you don't need to read the show map here just because I know I'll be mirroring some info later. Just do you.
I'm trying to do me.
You're brilliant.
Well, thank you.
He does himself, and then he sends me the tape. Now, before we
Walked right
continue,
into it.
as well, we have to talk about Master Hirono.
Oh.
You know what I'm talking about? Audio Wade is not here because Audio Wade actually, a long time ago, he had an issue with his palate where it basically caved in, and they had to screw it back, and some screws fell loose. And if you guys saw, we joked about his bee-stung face.
Yeah.
His face was really puffy. He had a face infection, and they had to go in and operate him. So he's having a procedure today. So send him your love. Tweet him at Audio Wade. And we are actually, though, I think he's coming out of the procedure, and we can now actually check in with the surgeon and an update. How is Audio Wade faring?
Let us pray in silence.
Wanna go tree climbing, Thomas J? His face hurts. And where is his glasses? He can't see without his glasses. Put his glasses on. Put on his glasses.
I really need to start providing insurance for my employees.
That would help.
That would be nice.
I'm going to put a bunch of books in his coffin. Just, he can take them to the other side. Yeah.
Why would Macaulay Culkin go piss off a bee's nest if he's allergic?
Oh, no.
There's water nearby.
We're also going to be watching the video recently from Cut about what are white people superior
it is
at.
the
So
worst
that when you
thing
have when
ever.
you have a title that ends with a preposition, you know it's something we have to watch. And why do you think that there's a tendency to criticize people for being white, male, straight, cis? Because that's a thing now. And do you think that's going to increase under a Biden presidency? What's your biggest concern if Biden were to become president? Which I don't know. I think there's a Kraken coming out, although it won't be defeated as it was immediately in the original literature. Okay, so first let's go to this Hirono. Is it Hirono? Hirono?
She doesn't know, so why should we know?
Hirono.
Hirono!
You know?
You know? I don't know, but I have taxpayer data. So here she is claiming just recently that conservatives, and this matters as we head into a potential 4-year Biden presidency. I'll give you a 20% shot that he does become president, where she actually said these words, that conservatives do not face any kind of censorship on social media.
Mr. Zuckerberg, for the second time in 3 weeks, you've been hauled before the Senate committee so my Republican colleagues can beat you up over claims that your platforms are supposedly biased against conservatives.
Poor guy.
The fact of the matter is that these allegations are completely baseless. Everyone who has systematically looked at the content of social media, from Media Matters to the Cato Institute to former Republican Senator John Kyle, has found absolutely no evidence of anti-conservative bias.
Well, listen, I don't know about Media Matters, but I will say there have been some people who've been specifically calling for censorship and criticism of conservatives solely for their point of view. Not everybody, but you, Ms. Hirono.
YouTube dragged its feet before taking any action against conservative commentator Steven Crowder. When YouTube did finally take action, it took the half measure of removing advertisements from Crowder's videos rather than removing him from the platform entirely.
Okay, first thing, that is a flat face. When she turns down, you cannot see eyes or a nose.
Yes, it's a safety feature.
Is it?
If I was a safer person, I wish I had gotten that from my mom.
Where we talked about? Where did the term slope come from? That's a bluff,
dude. I have no idea, man. I strongly prefer Charlie.
That's just.
I feel like I'm going to win a golden ticket.
Hey, Charlie, calm down, Charlie.
It's usually just a burnt down village, though.
It is, but that's only Southeast Asia.
Oh,
right.
That's
yeah.
true.
In China, we do the burning. Right. Yeah.
Geography.
True. History.
Here's why also, Hirono, the reason she was complaining that we were demonetized and not banned. Facts should matter. I know that you know this, being a frequent visitor of Media Matters. It's because the CEO of YouTube, the most powerful media company in existence, said clearly that I had not violated any policies. My half-Asian lawyer, Bill Richmond, true, untrue?
Yeah, that's true.
Fact check. So Hirono wants these companies to ban, according to her own words, shows like this, rather than be demonetized, because we're conservative.
So it's literally the most clear thing.
I know.
There
is no bias, but ban him.
Right. She's saying they said there's no violation. They took a half measure. The full measure would have been silence this entire channel, all the hundreds of videos, never again to be seen on YouTube. But we'll just go ahead and leave everything else up.
And you know what? We've been remonetized, so really it's a few quarters.
Is she the sexy young gal that said that the word sexual preference is in fact hateful?
Yes, she is the one. And then Merriam-Webster changed the definition of sexual preference being hateful.
Real fast.
By the way, she used it not long ago, and current sitting senators used it like last week.
Yeah, that's what I assume. I never knew it was hateful.
It doesn't mean that it's not an immutable quality, as they say, sexual preference. For example, if someone says, Steven's sexual preference is women. Sure, Steven's sexual preference is tall, blonde, cool glasses of water like my wife. Yeah, that's true. Not offended. It doesn't mean that because your sexual preference is hairy man ass that you weren't born that way. You were
making a moral judgment.
You were born with an orientation that oriented you toward hairy, sweaty man ass, and it is also your preference.
I'm right here.
Different strokes.
Why are you talking about Gerald's wife again?
Whoa! The hell?
She says she thinks you're attractive, Gerald. What's wrong with that?
I'm going to kill him.
She's saying that her preference is your hairy ass. That's what
you're
you're saying.
denying
You
you
didn't call
don't
your
Not
wife
even
hairy
that.
ass.
No.
Oh, shut up, Gerald.
Gerald, I just said your wife loves you.
Whatever.
My gosh, man.
You know what?
like feet.
It's his problem because he doesn't think he's worthy of love. You are. You are worthy of love, Gerald. You need to check that.
You're right.
Also silent. Yeah. Here's something else. else. Biden's transition team, one of his team members, Richard Stengel, he wrote an op-ed explaining why the U.S. needs a hate speech law like Europe, where, by the way, people can be arrested for doing a cover of Kung Fu Fighting, or our good friend Mike Ward in Canada, where there are hate speech laws put before Human Rights Tribunal for making a joke. So this is an active member, a current member of Biden's transition team saying we need a hate speech law. Combine that with Hirono saying ban Steven Crowder, even though it's clear on the record legally that he didn't violate any policies, as well as the little minor detail that there are former Facebook higher-ups involved with Biden's transition team, and you actually have a stage 5 shitacane. It's a double-barreled shit machine gun with a hair trigger. Thank you, Officer Leahy.
She doesn't.
I mean, people need to go back and look at just like the hate speech thing. Remember when we went down in front of Google's sub-regional headquarters in Austin, downtown Austin, and we talked about how many different people who came up from hipster leftist Austin and were like, I think hate speech should be a real thing, and every single one of them to a T said, I guess you're right.
Right. And you know what's really telling? Donald Trump, this crazy, evil fascist who's been president for 4 years and brought you the best economy we've had in modern American history and brought back American manufacturing jobs. Guess what? He had this power. You said that he wielded it like a fascist. Didn't do everything by executive order, unlike Barack Obama and unlike you're going to see with Joe Biden. They still all use more executive orders than I would be comfortable with. But guess what? He never once tried to limit speech of liberals. He said that the press is dishonest, fake news. He talked about that. He wanted balance in fact check. What do we call for? We say, well, hey, hold on a second. If we're going to have Southern Poverty Law Center and AP, who lied about the Trump team legal case, or Snopes, who lied about many of our stories at louderwithcrowder.com, where all the sources will be available today, all we want is to have some right-leaning balance to it. Donald Trump, the fascist dictator, Hitler-in-chief, apparently, never once stood before a committee, never once stood before a governing body and said, get rid of Hirono because she's got a weird flat face and she's a bitch. He never once said that. We fought for your right to be there because we want everyone to see how stupid your arguments are. Yeah. If we had complete and total, we had the Senate, right? We had the Senate, we had the presidency, the executive office, and we have the Supreme Court. No conservatives have been pushing for laws to silence you, Hirono. Only you. You are pushing for people to act outside of their legal purview to ban folks like this show because we say things that you don't like despite it not being a violation of policy. And you know what else? You know what else really gets my goat if I were a Muslim? Is you'd have to
of a sexual nature.
No, Senator Hirono.
Have you ever
like
faced discipline or entered into a settlement related to this kind of conduct?
No, Senator.
And if I greeted you on airplane and handed you scarf, would you feel welcome?
Yes. If I touched your Nero's throat like this, what do you think? You like that?
You think she asks those questions of everyone she hires?
Yeah, everyone.
Right. Yes.
Do you think she asks that question of the president that she voted for?
You think she has a Matt Lauer button in her office?
I think she's more a Louis C.K. version.
Yeah, that's true.
Exactly.
Just blocks the door.
Hey, come on into green room. Yeah, I hear you right to watch. So,
is that raw duck? Oh my gosh, Hirono.
Rub the magic lantern in the green room. So, it's time. This is something I stumbled across. Please, everyone share this right now at this second. This is what might get this stream banned. We're about to get into it, specifically, exclusive. No one else has done this yet. It's time to continue. Fraud Week. Okay, so you can go to Crowder Bits and see the catalog. We did Dominion, we did Georgia, we did Nevada and Pennsylvania, and we wanted to end on Michigan, and that's because Mr. Dave Landau and myself are Michiganders.
That's right.
And you currently live in Detroit, right?
Yeah, well, I live in New
York
York and Detroit, yes.
Don't you live in Grosse Pointe, though?
That's right.
I love
where
how you just
grew up.
dox Dave.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
We published his address in the show notes, so.
I'm sure
good.
it's out there.
Well,
I grew up in the Wayne County area.
The good thing is he doesn't need security. He just surrounds his one house with a bunch of bombed out crack houses. So they act as a natural force field.
And pit bulls that aren't mine.
Yes!
Some call them roaming animals of death, and others call them a natural force field.
No, someone breached the perimeter here with Lucky. What do we do with them? Throw them on an electric fence. What the hell do I care?
They don't like me either, but I just know where they are.
You just throw them on the fence like a Dr. Grant testing this fence with a stick.
Well, how
in
else
Jurassic
am I going
Park.
to know if it works?
That's a good point. Yeah. And we know that the guard dog doesn't. He's surprisingly quiet today because I know I told him there's a topic later, Dave Lando, that I have some third rails.
I'm sorry, I'm going to be quiet.
No, don't be quiet. I love you.
And I love you. I don't know what we're going to get into.
Well, and I will say this, Dave Landau, follow him. He's one of the funniest human beings on the planet, and so is Nick DiPaolo, but Dave Landau's nice.
That is the difference.
So Wayne County, for people who don't know, Wayne County is Detroit, and Wayne County encompasses many other, I guess county, but municipalities, cities that are in that county. It's a pretty big county, and people have been talking about Michigan, considering that Michigan was won, I believe, by a margin of 140-something thousand votes.
At 4 a.m.
Well, that's what we're about to get into. So I was going through the voting records because I know Michigan, and I didn't even have time to get to Kent County and the deeply red counties in the western side of the state, as many people know, because some margins there don't make a whole lot of sense. Unfortunately, not all of that data is available. But I am working with, from the official Wayne County Election Commission website right here, these numbers. And I asked everyone last night, I asked you last night, Half Asian Bill, I said, are you noticing anything? When I sent you the document, it was like 100 and something pages. And I didn't realize that I'm the only one, me and Reg, who read like 150-page documents.
I mean, I regularly read millions of pages for cases, but
I'm not belittling you.
No. But the point was, that
Mom's
you had been
watching.
so into this. She is watching, and she's like, "Did you read more pages than Stephen?" Yes, I did. Mom. Yes, I did.
Is your vaccine 95.56?
She's very upset that it's not 97.
Yeah.
So, but when you looked at it, and then later you pointed out, I was like, wow, you only would know this if you'd been living it, like living the analysis the entire time. So
yes. Okay. So let's bring this up here. Here's a statement of the votes report from Wayne County. So I have this. I'm mirroring my screen. Forgive me if this is a little bit raw because I have to zoom in and I'm using an iPad. But look, let's start with this. You see the city of Detroit, right? City of Detroit, the precinct. So what do we have here? Keep in mind you have registered voters at the top there. Here, I will show you registered voters at the top. Then you have cards cast, voters cast, and percent of turnout. So percent of turnout is based on registered voters.
Right.
That's important.
Very.
Knowing the registered voters and the percentage of turnout. That's how you estimate it. So we look in these Detroit precincts, and these are pretty small, like 752. Here you have over 1,000. Here you have 801. Some of these only have 69. But if you look at the turnout rate, it's very low, right? You have 15% there. Maybe 14% here, 14% here, 15%, 12%. You have some that are as low as 10%. The highest I've seen here is 20%. So this is all Detroit precincts, okay? I want everyone to follow along here. 16%, 24%, 17%, 25%, 17%. Here, let's keep scrolling because it goes on for Detroit precincts for a while. 14%, 13%, 13%. 21% is pretty high there. 16%, 14%, 12%, okay? These numbers are pretty consistent across the board. 11%. Where if you look at all these Detroit precincts, the voter turnout is between 10 and 20%. There are a few that are a little bit higher, but it's between 10 and 20% the voter turnout based on registered voters in these Detroit precincts. Okay? So that's pretty low. And you notice here, by the way, the AV, meaning we're talking about the absentee ballots, that some of these weren't counted. So these are the in-day election turnouts, just to be clear.
Right.
I want to be clear about this because now I'm going to go through the surrounding, not counties, but municipalities in Detroit. Because we know Detroit would be where it's most liberal. Wayne County, though, a lot of people don't realize, Wayne County encompasses a lot of places like Grosse Pointe, like Livonia, Canton, some very suburban, working class, sometimes upper white middle class. You have areas outside of Detroit that are 95% white.
Taylor, I think, too.
Taylor as well, Northville Township.
They're white garbage.
Not just trash.
No,
garbage.
It's a specific kind of.
So let me do this really quickly here. I will search in, for example, Grosse Pointe, okay? Because now we'll move down the document. Sorry, Grosse. Okay.
It's with an E.
There we go. Yeah, no.
It's a little more pretentious.
Okay, so now we go to Grosse Pointe and we look, oh, wow. We still have registered voters, as you see there, and we have the turnout rate. And we have total turnout rate 84%. 84%, 82, 82, 82, 75 is the lowest we see there, 83. Even if you look at the in-day voting percentage, they're all between 25, most of them between 25 and 30%. Some of them are absentee ballots, but you see a higher voting percentage by quite a significant margin, right? 80% here, 73. Now look, let me do this. I'm going to continue scrolling through here, so because these are all part of Wayne County, and then something's going to surprise you, because we thought we were done with Detroit, right?
Right.
All right. Let's go down to Livonia, very white. Livonia, we have 79%, 80%, 84% turnout rate, 85% turnout rate. These are crazy turnout rates, by the way. That surprised me in and of itself. So Detroit, we only have, of the precincts, 17, an average between 10 and 20%. And now in all the surrounding suburban areas, hard Trump country, Livonia, Grosse Pointe, I can bring up Canton. Again, this is all available at louderwithcrowder.com. We will make these sources available to you. You see a voter turnout rate of 80, 85%, 75%, which should tell you that that is an absolute blowout for Donald Trump, because these are hard Trump areas.
Well, and Livonia's So White was trending not long ago.
Yes, it was. Livonia's So White.
And everybody's property value.
That's where I think they poured some Clorox on Jussie Smollett's personal trainer.
They did.
Yeah, but it didn't work.
If the only piece of data that you have is this, and you're a campaign manager for Donald Trump, you're popping champagne.
Right, you're popping champagne. And by the way, these are big. These are much bigger than the Detroit precincts, right? You saw some that were 60 people. You saw some that were 700 people. The highest that you saw up there were maybe 1,000 something. Not many precincts in the thousands, but these have many thousands of registered voters and a high percentage of voter turnout. So Melvindale, I would imagine, is white. I don't know. Northville, very white, 83%, 84%. You can keep on going down here. Plymouth is very white. They have a great haunted house, Erebus, 85%. So these numbers are consistent.
No, that's Pontiac.
Oh, that's Pontiac.
Yeah,
that's
Plymouth is a little hoity-toity.
Oh, is it? That's right. Plymouth. So either way, Plymouth is not exactly mixed. Now, I say this because this is also important. Donald Trump did more, right, with minority voters than any other Republican in modern history. He did better than he did in 2016. So that's important to keep in mind, that even with these precincts in Detroit that might have 15% total voter turnout that we saw, a higher percentage of blacks, Latinos, and women's would have come out for Donald Trump, because that happened in every other county. Okay? But now we look at the area where we expected Donald Trump to win, and we have 80-something% voter turnout in much bigger municipalities, all in Wayne County. But this is what was weird. So I did this, and then all of a sudden, Van Buren, I'm pretty sure that's a Caucasian area. Okay,
that's pretty much a garbage dump.
Is it really a garbage dump?
Actual garbage, like a slope, as we were trying to figure out earlier.
That's like in I think in Louisville, Texas. I have a friend who lives there. I'm like, oh, you guys have a sledding hill? He's like, no, that's it's landfill.
That's our trash.
Plymouth actually had a soccer moms defund the police rally in the town center, right by like the tiny theater and gazebos and stuff. It was quite hilarious because they needed the police to watch them, and it was all white soccer moms in Lululemon.
What am I gonna do? Have the lady in the Fabletics monitor? She can't throw a punch.
My dog's therapist would be pretty good at this job.
Okay, so just to be clear, so we are right now at this point, we are left with Detroit.
Yeah.
15% turnout rate average.
Yeah.
And then all the surrounding areas that are hard Trump country, many thousands of registered voters that we see there, 80% average turning up to vote. And we know that that's obviously heavily Trump. But then we get to the bottom here, and all of a sudden Detroit comes back. But do you notice something? 0 registered voters, NA, as far as percent of vote turnout. 0 registered voters, and by the way, these are much bigger than the precincts before, 2,500 votes, 1,900 votes, 2,100 votes. Some of these are up to like 3,000 votes, 3,400 votes, 3,300 votes, 2,100 votes, 2,300 votes, 2,900 votes, with 0 registered voters and the percent of voter turnout. This, by the way, these numbers here that have 0 registered voters, no data whatsoever that you could match against, let's say if you were doing some kind of canvassing, if you were doing some kind of actual recount, there'd be no way to actually check because there are 0 registered voters in the books. This totals up to around 173,000 voters. Again, look, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Now, I know some people are going to say, well, that's the AVCB, which is the absentee voters counting ballot. What's the counting bureau? I forgot what the actual acronym is for here, but let me bring this up here.
It's the counting board.
It's the counting board.
Bureau. Board.
So they would say, okay, hold on a second. So this is their argument. Well, that's from the absentee ballots. Okay. We've made 2 calls to county boards and to people who were handling these elections, and we were not able to get through to anybody. Yep. It still doesn't give you any reason as to why they wouldn't have registered voters at all. Let's assume for a second that all these votes came in really quickly, like drinking from a fire hose. Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter. You still have, long before election, registered voters. That's how they do the polls, right? The liberal polls were doing registered voters instead of doing likely voters. So that doesn't change the fact that data shouldn't read 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. And this totals 173,000 votes from 0 registered voters in those precincts. So what are we left with? We're left with the Detroit precincts where we have some data on registered voters. Okay, we know the registered voters, and a 15% turnout rate average. Then we have heavy Trump country, Grosse Pointe, places like Livonia, places like Canton, right? Places where you would have working middle class, some union guys, but people who whisked Trump into the White House last election with an 83% average voter turnout rate. So Detroit, we have numbers for some reason, 15% voting rate. The other areas where it would be white, working class, blue-collar Trump voters, 85% voter turnout rate. Then 0 in all of these absentee ballots, 0 registered voters, which give us 173,000 votes from 134 ABCBs. Now, keep in mind that late on election night, in the middle of the night, there was a ballot dump with about 150,000 ballots.
Yeah.
All for Biden.
Yeah.
Less than 4%, about 3% took place for were actually cast for Donald Trump. That doesn't occur anywhere in nature.
No.
You could have an election in America's Communist Party and Donald Trump would get more than 3% of the vote. So this area where there's no way to actually check these votes at all, no registered voters, and we have a dump of, I want to make sure I get this number right, 150,000 votes on election night, less than 6,000 for Trump. That's about 3% of the votes. And you want to say there are no irregularities? There's no reason to count this? Well, those are just absentees, so they're from ACVBs. So, hold on a second. Why don't you have registered voters? Furthermore, do you know what the average turnout rate would have to be for these absentee ballots? 100%.
Wow.
It would have to be 100% for these remaining votes, and they would all have to go to Biden. Assuming it would have to be more than 100%, because if there's one vote that comes in that's higher than, that's already 200%, because it's 0. There are no registered voters, and it all tipped. All the data that we do have available for us, which, by the way, you should have in elections, and most counties do. This is just a rule of Wayne County, by the way. If you have more than 250 precincts, then the other ones can just be they can just be ACVBs, whatever it's called, absentee ballot counting. And at that point, you can just count them as much as you want, take them as they come in. But why don't you have registered voters? And how can we understand the voter turnout rate? We have 3 turnout rates right now. Okay. We have Detroit, registered voters, about 15% turnout rate. We have everywhere else in Wayne County, deeply red, we have an over 80% turnout rate. And then we have a third turnout rate, which is NA, because 150,000 votes came in the middle of night from 0 registered voters. 100% of which, 97%, it's a rounding error for Donald Trump. Keep in mind, by the way, remember that 138,000 or 128,000 votes that happened in Wisconsin that ended up being a typo?
Yeah.
That's less. That's less
Yeah.
than the ballot dump that actually took place in Michigan in the middle of night, with 97% coming in for Biden and 0 registered voters for 173,000 of those votes. The lead in Michigan, by the way, for Biden is 146,000. Something else, that's a huge chunk of Detroit, because Detroit used to be a big city. The last census tried to claim there were 700,000 people in Detroit, and we all laugh. It's an ongoing joke in Michigan. It's not. It's like 250,000, and one crackhead just filed for unemployment.
If you count the pit bulls around Dave's house.
Right.
Yeah.
That does
And a lot of them wear hats.
And one other thing that's important, because they go, well, this is how they do their elections. It's not how they did it in the primaries.
Is this 0? So, I'm sorry. I just...
you should be.
140,000 people of 0 people?
173,000 votes
of
from 0 registered voters. According to the record.
Make sure I heard that right.
Yeah.
So what they've done is they've at the very best, they've broken this out into a way that you cannot figure out exactly how many people voted in each one of these precincts, and they didn't do it anywhere else in the county.
Right. They didn't do it anywhere else in the county.
Anywhere else.
Why do we have records from areas in Detroit County that are smaller precincts, a dozen here, a few hundred there, maybe every now and then you throw in a precinct with 1,000, but the big ones, 4,000, 3,000, 0 registered voters? No information. So this isn't an election irregularity. This is what you would do if you were trying to commit fraud. And this is what we suspected, right, when we said, oh, hold on a second, we went to sleep and there was this ballot dump?
Yes.
How does that happen? And how did the state flip? Because before we went to bed, we were effectively calling the presidency for Donald Trump. Well, these came, no one expected 140-something thousand ballots coming in, 97% for Biden. We said, well, we're going to have to look into those numbers. That seems weird. Now you can't, because there are 0 registered voters. We have no idea as to the voter turnout.
Yeah.
The turnout could be 130%. It would have to be that.
Yeah.
For this to actually make sense. At best, this is by design a way to cover up voter fraud. And again, it's not how they did it in the primaries. So even in the Democratic primaries, so when they wanted to get their candidate right, they made sure that they didn't have this kind of a lack of data. So really, at worst, this is designed to commit fraud and have no way to be fact-checked. At best, we have to believe that, A, these people are totally unaccountable, that no one cares, no one in the media has actually done this research and looked at these numbers, and that they're like, well, you know what, we don't have the registered voters, so,
We'll just do it.
Just don't worry about it, guys. It'll be fine.
And
Trust us.
lest you think more data is coming that will clear all of this up, isn't there a news story about some county rushing to certify the election results?
Yes, we are going to get to that. We are going to get to that in a second.
Seems relevant.
But this is really important for people to understand that that there's no way to know when there are 0 registered voters, and there's no reason to not have a tally of registered voters. I understand, let's say, it takes a while to count. Like Arizona's still counting. I don't know how many coffee breaks they take over there.
A lot.
A little bit of siestas. We've heard about the demographic changes in Arizona. Siestas. We get it. You haven't finished the counting. But that's the ballots where you say, well, we don't have the number, that we still have to go through the ballots. Fine. That doesn't change the fact that you have the registered voters long before election. That's not something that happens on election night. What you do on election night is match your ballots with the registered voters. There's no reason for that to be a 0. There is no reasonable explanation for that to be a 0, and we've called twice, and we've been given the runaround, and no one has given an answer at all. And again, this is not the way that they did this in the primaries. We're going to continue with Michigan election fraud, but this is something that, did you have a question? I think you were...
No, I was just going to play a little devil's advocate and say if you take out Kwame Kilpatrick, that was the mayor of Detroit, being in prison, and Dennis Archer weirdly running out before stuff got out, and Coleman A. Young's entire, term that put White Boy Rick in
jail.
Hit
8 Mile,
Yeah, the Democratic Party, I think, has done a pretty good job in
It's all about perspective.
They wanted to lower the population.
When you eliminate Detroit, they've done a good job with Detroit.
Exactly. Sure, we had a riot, and then it was no more.
Detroit's like Lindsay Lohan. Like you watch him in the news, and people are like, Detroit's coming back. You watch him, and you feel for her, and you really hope that they get it right. But they're never going to. Yeah. It's just going to be another crack bender, and at some point a burqa for some reason that then disappears and is replaced with that bracelet, whatever that was.
That burqa is called Dearborn.
Yes. By the way, had a crazy turnout rate too. Out of nowhere. Yeah, the Ilhan Omar area. Who knew? But before we continue now with some of the election data that is publicly available that you may not know, our correspondent, Thomas Finnegan, is here with us today for Fraud Facts. Oh, I didn't know if we had an intro for Thomas Finnegan. No? Do we not, Corda Blackyard? All right, Thomas Finnegan is here. Thomas, I thought we were going to you. You're here. I thought you were on location.
No, I'm here today.
All right.
Stephen.
Well, yeah, we can't really hear you. Okay, so Thomas Finnegan, it's Fraud Week. You have some fraud facts for us.
I wanted to apologize first for dropping the ball earlier this week.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
With the frog facts, it's
but
Fraud
I have
Week.
Some facts about frauds.
You have some facts. Fraud facts. Good. So, relevant. Thank you for doing the research.
It was a film that came out in Australia in 1993 with Phil Collins and Hugo Weaving. The soundtrack is not available for purchase. And it was in competition in 1993 for Cannes Film Festival Award.
Okay, well, first that doesn't even seem like fraud. That just seems like a tidbit. That's like a did you know?
Frauds.
This is more about fraudulent elections.
Oh, if you want to talk about numbers.
Okay, yeah.
It grossed about 30,000 Australian dollars.
Yeah, no, that's not relevant. We were talking about fraudulent elections, election fraud. All right, you know what, Reed? We have a sponsor here, Gabby. How about you read that for us, Thomas? Let's earn your pay here. Okay. I know that your wife still have formula to buy.
Can I have some water?
Yeah, you can have some water. Yeah. Okay. Well, you know what, Angela, let's get some more water in here. You can probably keep it. Okay, Gabby, our wonderful sponsor, Gabby, as we continue with Michigan fraud facts. Go ahead, Thomas Finnegan.
You know, you're probably overpaying on car and home insurance. Sure, you'd love to save money, but spending hours on your own shopping for low rates to maybe save a few bucks is probably not.
Thomas Finnegan, everybody. Thank you very much. I'll take it from here. Okay, so Gabby is a wonderful sponsor. We're really happy about them. It's actually a lot of people here are using insurance.
I'll be back with some frog facts.
No, we don't. No, fraud week is over. Leave, Thomas Finnegan. Thank you, Thomas Finnegan, everybody. So a lot of you pay for insurance at home, and you don't realize insurance is one of those things you get locked into.
Yeah.
And then your rates just keep rising and rising, and you could actually be saving a lot of money. So we entered this in, and we're wildly surprised with things like car insurance or different kinds of insurance. So if you go to Gabby, it's Gabby.com/Crowder. You'll get a free quote. Just punch in your insurance information, and they'll show you what you could be paying elsewhere. It's one of those things that's basically free money on the table. You might be overpaying. A lot of people are. I got to say, I was surprised.
I got to tell you, use the money you save by going to Gabby and join Mug Club.
Yeah, join Mug Club.
It's free right
like
there.
that
There you
idea.
go.
Or we'll start a GoFundMe for Thomas Finnegan to go. He wants to go independent.
Let's put him in a broken down helicopter and send him a flight.
All right.
It's like the King's speech, not so good. But, so I also had a great experience with Gabby. And also, since they don't sell your data, it's another little FU to big tech, which I appreciate. So
right.
I really don't think you should drink out of that mug.
No, I really don't think I should drink out of that
unsafe.
mug.
Yeah.
Angela, bring in some other water if you can, if you don't mind. Someone can bring it in. So let's continue on with Michigan. What was it that you brought up?
Well, no, in the Michigan thing, I don't understand what the logic would be other than fraud, right? So you're trying to think in the world of what they're doing. Why would you separate it out when you don't do it anywhere
Oh no, that's
else?
not what you brought up. You brought up the point about people certifying the election. Sorry, and
okay.
That is something we need to get into.
Right.
But before
They
we
rushed
continue
to do
with the rest of Michigan fraud, it is important because I know a lot of you saw this. We covered it while it was happening live. We had the exclusive.
Yeah.
But to set the tone, there is a question mark behind why did they do this at the precinct, covering it up. For a lack of accountability in Detroit proper in Wayne County. This happened.
Look at the nod of approval. Yeah.
They do that when I walk by preschools.
Yes. I do that on the side of my van when I drive by preschools.
Yes. Well, you don't.
I can't afford siding.
Who buys an all-glass van for those shenanigans?
I don't know. But the Bristol boards come in handy.
Oh my
I make a trip to Staples. Timmy's none the wiser.
It's almost like they should be able to see through those windows.
It's also easier to write on, like puppies.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know, free candy inside.
Yeah, because one day it's ice cream, and you're like, I don't want to go buy a puppy van.
Right,
I just
no,
want
exactly.
to buy a marker.
It's a it's a modular rapist van.
Yes. That's what I'm saying.
And by the way, it's for someone else.
Not for you.
Yeah. Okay, so the Michigan Board of Canvassers, this is what you were talking about, they refused to certify Wayne County, okay, after they said that absentee ballot poll books at 70% of Detroit's 134 absentee counting boards were found to be out of balance without explanation. Here's the thing, I'm assuming that some of that comes from what we just showed you, and I think a lot of this is lost in translation because everyone talks about election fraud and they want the soundbite, they want the tidbit, and they go, well, some things are out of balance, but they don't know exactly why. Is it just me, or was that shocking to you to see 0, 0, 0, 0, 0?
It's incredibly shocking. Not only because when you think about how they did it in the primaries, which is when we look at these things, we say, okay, this is how it is. But how does it compare to what it should be under the rules, the regulations, the guidelines? And also, how have you done it in the past?
Right.
And when you see something that is wildly out of whack, just a completely different system with completely different results, you have to ask the question, why?
Right.
And when the results all tend to go in exactly one direction.
Like 97%?
Right.
That
97%.
seems high.
It's a pretty high. It's a pretty high 90%,
which is more than the voting win number?
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. And then you look at that and go,
if it were entirely black lesbian women, Donald Trump would get more than 3%.
Yes, exactly.
Do people understand that? If it were PhD Afro-lesbian funk studies majors.
Ooh, funk.
They would still give Donald Trump more than 3%. Antifa would vote more than 3% for Donald Trump. Well, we go, well, this is weird, and how can we fact check? Well, hold on, it's a 0.0000000. So when you read this from the canvassers, right, the people who refuse to certify it, it just says, 70% of the absentee voting were out of balance. People go, well, that seems suspicious. Someone should look into it. We just did. Unfortunately, a lot in conservative media don't give you more than the soundbite. We just did. Now you know. It's incredibly disturbing. Go to the website, louderwithcrowder.com. Read it for yourself. Give me an easy explanation here. I'm looking to be wrong. I could be wrong. There could be a really easy fix. I don't know what it is, and we've reached out to the officials in charge, and they don't answer. They don't seem to know what it is. Here's the thing. These people refused to certify. It was a deadlock 2-2.
Yep.
Then they were doxxed, and all of a sudden they said, we'll certify.
So remember, what they actually said was found to be out of balance, and these are the quotes, without explanation. Just think about how bad of an admission that is. Or, I mean, it's not bad of it. They were being honest. They said without explanation.
Right.
And that's why they didn't want to certify. It's not, and we had some explanations that needed to be borne out with some more explanation or some detail, or we have some theories that seem plausible, that make sense. We need to get some more data. Right. It was just literally, guys, like in our wildest imaginations, we cannot come up with an explanation for these numbers. So we should pump the brakes. And then the entire leftist world goes, no brake pumping. Right. Cut the lines. Drive off the
Don't look behind the curtain.
Listen, all I'm saying is we should investigate these 173,000 plus votes that came in the middle of the night, all for Joe Biden. Well, why do you say that? Because that number is higher than the total of registered voters, which was 0.
Right. I feel like they buried the lead a little bit. They were like, oh, this is irregular. It's out of balance. If you had come out and said there are 173,000 votes that we can't account for and we need to make sure we can, I think that would have been a stronger argument to the public than they're out of balance. Well, out of balance could be 5 votes.
But here's the thing is they didn't even want to get to that point. They were doing their job and said, we can't certify this. We need to go and check
So here's what happened. They said, we can't certify it. They were doxxed. And so then the news was like, oh, now they certified it. But actually, they said they're rescinding their votes, by the way. These people said they were bullied into certifying the election. I think we're getting a little loose with the terminology. Bullying, if someone lists your name, birth date, address, personal hobbies, and schedule.
Yeah, it's not like you were getting a swirly.
Yeah. Ask you to hold a ticking package for them.
Giving that lady a wedgie.
There was just someone outside of their house, one of those professional sign spinners going,
But what I'm very confident is that was a lot of people who preach love and unity were the ones that were saying certify our votes or we'll eat your children.
Yeah, well, you know what, though? You can love someone and hurt them, like my dad spanking me. They're basically loading up their .357 Magnum saying, this is going to hurt me much more than it's going to hurt you.
It's tough love.
I don't know about that.
Canvassing board.
He's making a list, checking it twice.
Bipartisan board, by the way.
Yeah.
Bipartisan
board.
And you don't think they realized what they were doing if they were going, guys, we're looking at this information. It is going to cause a storm if we don't certify these results. But we are compelled.
Keep talking. I'm going to go shut off this monitor because I see Dave.
Oh, no.
He keeps looking at it.
Ethically, morally.
He keeps looking at this. There you go.
I'm just shocked by the facts.
Look, you can't slap Dave Landau in the face
I'm not slapping
with
Dave Landau.
data and then be surprised.
If I were to slap him in the face,
shocked.
I wouldn't wear underwear. What is this? Look at this. These are more pajamas. Look at this.
Stop
Look
with
at
the
this.
crotches.
Look at this.
Hey,
I don't know. My mother-in-law bought these for me for skiing, and she goes, why don't you try them on? Show me how you like it. I walked out, felt a breeze, and my mother-in-law, I'm sorry you had to see my dick.
That's why
That's on her.
She was like, Steven, go try these on.
Yeah. I felt a breeze. I was like, I didn't want to look down because I was hoping for the best, going,
If I don't
that wouldn't be my big fat dick swinging out there. No one would design a fly that way, would they? Why would they do that to me?
She
to
said,
put me in this scenario?
no, it's not that big.
No, she didn't.
It's fat.
It's out there, but
I mean,
It was swinging, but it was inside. It can't get out.
That's why the annulment was in play. Okay. So here's another one. Michigan, let's go through some other. What were you going to say?
I'm going to look at you.
No, you don't need to look. Here's the thing. I know what happens is when people have information on the screen, they look at it. It's like, you guys don't need to know that stuff because it's my job. You're just, you're you. You're funny.
I'm just shocked by the numbers.
Isn't it crazy?
I just feel like I'm surprised this is politicians cheating and not the little rascals. The numbers are insane.
It's just the mayor of Detroit coming in a trench coat on somebody else's shoulders.
Right.
Well, all these absentee ballots. Okay.
Now remember the story that you covered the day after the election about the lack of security at Bristol Board University, which is they call it Cobo Hall.
Now it's like TCF Bank.
Right,
Hall,
right. But at this very location, right? So this isn't, we're bringing in this issue in this state and this issue in this county.
It's all the same place.
It's all in the same place.
Yeah.
It's 0 registered voters with 173,000 votes in the same building that we showed had no security during the hours when the votes were counted when they weren't counting.
We showed people going in with wagons and coolers because it was happening live, like it had just happened. And then people said, oh, it was camera equipment in your conspiracy. No, we weren't talking about it for sure being ballots in those coolers. We were saying, why is someone able to go in with a full cooler with no security into a voting precinct? I got stopped through TSA because I had a bottle of shampoo that was 4.2 ounces.
Right.
Just to be clear, they're going in to basically be in charge of the state of Western civilization, and they're just bringing in real wet wagons?
Well, you know what the response was? The response was,
I can't do my woke.
Look at all of these coolers and suitcases and wagons, and look, one of the wagons might have just been camera equipment, and you're like, oh, okay, great, awesome. You were able to show us that this wasn't fraud, and that the issues there in the wagon was innocent.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's continue the investigation. Nope, investigation over.
Hold on, let me see that cooler. Open it up. It's empty. Why? What's in there? Registered voters. The prestige.
Like, listen, the local Fox 2 newswoman has spoken.
Right. Yes.
That's all it was. She came out. She's like, guys, come on.
I have a question.
You would know.
All right.
Did Nikon partner with Yeti? And now you have like coolers.
That's all it is.
Right. Yeah. Radio Flyer got together with Nikon and said,
what's the vote count?
It. Yeah.
I do not know, but I would love to tell you about the new REI improved Scandium carabiners that you can purchase now for 20% off. Don't gotta wait till Black Friday. We got a black day every day at REI.
That's like the worst excuse ever. It's camera equipment. Yes, because people carry camera equipment in igloo coolers. And walk them into voting.
Unless they're a Republican, in which case they're not allowed to use their cameras.
Yeah.
And radio flyer wagons.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Like they're
And you have to stand more than
a Republican poll watcher goes in with a camera and they smash it like Bluto Blutarsky with a guitar. Okay, here's some other facts here. Michigan, they already had problems with the mail-in ballots earlier in the August 4 primaries. 6,400 absentee ballots had to be thrown out, including, by the way, 846 ballots from dead voters. Now, I know every now and then you'll get a story from BBC or HuffPo. They'll say, meet the Michigan dead voter who's speaking out. And she's like, I'm not dead yet. And everyone goes, well, that's good enough for me. Listen, there can be some mix-ups. But again, in August, 846 ballots from dead voters had to be thrown out. That's just 846 out of 6,400. Now, combine that with the fact that mail-in ballots in the general election were accepted at 30 times the rate of any other previous election, and the fact that we have 173,000 votes in Detroit proper from 0 registered voters. I don't know at what point we can use the word fuckery, but I think we're about there. Here's some more information. 47 Michigan counties, of course, by the way, they use Dominion software. So I don't know all of the counties that use Michigan software, but maybe that could explain some other glitches that had taken place in Michigan. So we can tally this up. Primaries, thousands of votes have had to be dismissed, including 800 from dead people. 0 registered voters with 173,000 votes that came in, 97% for Biden. Poll watchers not being allowed as they add up Bristol boards. But now we have a glitch, of course, in Michigan that we know about in Antrim County, where 6,000 votes flipped from Biden to Trump. Now, here's what they're saying. Well, we caught it before the election. Well, yeah, you probably caught it before the election because you were able to match it against registered voters because it wasn't 0. Then there was another glitch in Oakland County, and I don't know if they used Dominion, and it led officials to declare, they declared a Democrat a winner.
Right, yeah.
The Republican conceded.
Oops.
And then they called him and said, hey, yeah, about that. You didn't need to do that. He said, what? They said, you won. He's like, oh, man, that must have been close. You won by like 1,000 votes, and it's a small county. He's like, you're bullshitting. I won by 1,000 votes, but I conceded last night. We don't know what happened. It was a glitch.
So did he retract his concession?
You concede?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he just like tweet.
Or they were like, no,
official?
no give backs.
Yeah.
His opponent said no take backs.
They like moved in.
Double quincy's no racist.
Yeah.
Right. They like moved in and they were like, doors locked. Doors locked.
What was that, Dave?
I said it's called Indian giving.
Yes.
Oh,
It
wow.
is. It
No.
It's the giving where you take it back.
It's red
We
skin.
know what it is, Gerald.
It's red
It
skin.
was Seinfeld.
Red skin theft.
almost sounds worse.
Yeah.
It almost sounds worse.
Savages.
That's the word.
There you go.
Sometimes if people are in doubt, I ask them, okay.
You're referring to Fred and Ben.
Yes. So now we have this. Those are two counties in Michigan. This is what we caught it. And by the way, there's always a fall person. You notice that we talked about in Georgia. Oh, 2 memory cards were found. Someone just misplaced the memory card. In Michigan, it was someone didn't update the software. I don't really even know what their excuse is here in Oakland County. We've heard several different excuses. Just listen, just get over it. The Democrat one, now the Republican one. We're like, oh, okay, well, it seems like there might be some errors. Can we go check out those 173,000 votes from 0 registered voters? No, you don't want anything about that. Gonna waste your time, buddy. Let's just go on and give Biden the election. So
their excuse is a van dropped them off, but it's camera equipment. You're like, wait, no, I don't know if you heard me. I'm wondering how all those votes got here, and you're like, yeah, it's a red wagon.
I think we're missing each other.
Yeah. Oh, you're a racist.
But
That's
don't worry,
what
we
you're
were
saying.
able to see when the wagon was pulled in, and they brought it into the room, but then somehow the windows got very unseeable.
It's fine. Reporter said it's all good.
Now, a lot of these glitches, as we've talked about across all of the states, as we wrap up Fraud Week, and I'm getting very near the end of this now. Michael Kelly Garrett, is that the name? I don't know how it's pronounced. Michael Kelly Garrett worked as Dominion's project manager. Okay, because we've talked about Dominion quite a bit. Sidney Powell has said that there's blatant fraud. The FEC chairman said, if Sidney Powell said that there's evidence, I believe her. That's what he said.
Yep, lots of credibility.
He said that the day after you said that, though, just FYI.
Well, you know what? Everyone's borrowing from my notes.
That's right.
You backbenchers! You nothings, you jerks. Michael Kelly Garrett, she worked as Dominion's project manager. Is it a guy? Is it a girl? Kelly?
Who knows?
I have
It's
no
a
idea.
woman. There's a
Either way.
picture.
Sometimes you guys need to understand I mispronounce things or I misgender people. Sometimes it's because it's funny. That's true. And then sometimes it's because I read it and I'm reading an artikel and there's no picture and I've never actually heard anyone talking about it because who's going to talk about this stuff on the news? No one's going to tell you about corruption.
They don't talk about this.
So this person, let's call him Kelly Garrett, worked as Dominion's project manager, then worked at Michigan's Democratic Party headquarters and as the deputy director and is now mayor of Lathrop Village in Michigan. Here's something important. She helped broker a $25 million contract. $25 million contract between Dominion and the state of Michigan while still serving as the vice chair for the Oakland County Democratic Party. So when people talk about the swamp, when people talk about getting big money out of politics, how about someone who has $25 million at stake, who's working for that company while currently sitting in office at the taxpayer's dime? Isn't there some kind of a law against that? Or is it like insider trading where it doesn't apply to guys named Newt?
I think Biden just issued a executive order that said it was fine.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, from the president-elect's office, maybe.
Yes.
This is the first time the president-elect is going to pre-pardon himself.
Yeah.
He's
Brilliant maneuver.
It is.
Let's see how it works out for him, Cotton.
He said, I always said Donald Trump is playing 4D chess.
Yeah.
Joe Biden is he's playing 8x checkers. I'm pardoned. That doesn't work that way. I was hoping you'd go along with it. No, Joe.
Look,
okay, someone give me a scratch and sniff.
Trump is playing chess, but Biden is playing hopscotch.
Yes.
And I'd like to be playing Hungry Hungry Hippos if you want to later.
Well, that you could do it with Frank Luntz.
All right.
Stupid Seinfeld sneakers and toupee. No, he's playing jump rope. Let's hit the rhythm and the beat. Let's hit the rhythm and the hot dog. Remember that on Sesame Street? They taught me how to play jump rope.
Yeah,
and then I did it in Canada with a black accent, like the street part of Sesame Street, and I was immediately beaten up.
I learned how to do it from a little show called Amen. Yeah, right when he walks up. Double Dutch.
Amen to that. Does that mean double cheap?
I don't know what it means.
Okay. By the way, hit the notification bell if you're subscribed on YouTube because subscriptions don't mean a whole lot. We broadcast weekdays, 10 a.m. Eastern, and of course the notifications will let you know when something goes up that's a special, like an election special, or if we go live. And you can always go to liveofcutter.com just to check these sources. That's probably your best place to stay in touch. Now, let's go through a recap of the affidavits, okay? Because this is important. Having affidavits by themselves, it's basically a declaration under oath, right? You are legally held liable for that if you make that declaration. But we've seen some corroborating evidence now, just like we've seen some corroborating evidence for those electors saying we're not going to certify this because of irregularities, and now we just showed you why the irregularities are registered voters, 120 registered voters, 2,000, then 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. You're like, oh, this seems atypical. So The affidavits, one of the affidavits, this is in Michigan, is 234 pages, I think.
That's a lot.
And I don't know if this is on page 23 or something like that, but you guys can go read all of these affidavits on the website. Someone reported that ballots were run through the machine 5 times. And it seems confirmed by some internal numbers. We brought this from Twitter, and we verified it, where there have been ballots run 1, 2, 3, 4 times. That has been done. How many times? We don't know. Where did the ballots come from? Came from the pile of 0.
Somewhere over there. Nothing to look in, though.
It's called magic.
It's called magic. Magic Man. There were ballots not in the voter database where they just entered a fake birth date of 1/1/1900.
That's helpful.
Well, it's also helpful because they can say, well, see, people are trying to say they're folks 120 years old. We just entered in this birth date as a default date. Why would you enter a default date 120 years old? And also, why are you entering a default date at all? Don't people here have birth dates? Weren't they born?
In Michigan, it's usually a wild guess.
It's usually a wild guess.
I like how you can just identify as a 120-year-old.
Yeah.
It's just like,
exactly.
no, I want to identify as a person who was not born. I just appeared.
Wait, a piece of data that would actually make it legal for you to vote or illegal, we'll just guess.
Yeah.
At that. It's not really necessary to get that one.
Giving you an approximation. Approximation of when they were born? Yeah, call it 1900. What makes you say that? Because we have 0 data. There's no registered voters, so your guess is as good as mine. How about we don't guess? Well, that'd be crazy. Where are we going to get the 170,000 votes to win?
Maybe we shouldn't let them vote.
Yeah, maybe we shouldn't let them vote.
Well, little 5-year-old Sally has to be able to vote somehow.
Oh,
Voter
come
suppression.
On. 5-year-old's not voting. Just Sally, a lady named Sally, voting 5 times. Ballots were logged even when they had no signature or they weren't registered. These are all from the affidavits. Poll workers duplicated ballots to incorrect precincts to run through 2 ballots for one person 20 to 30 times. Claims that 60% of ballots in one box had the same signature. A city employee claimed that she was asked to backdate ballots. Now, here's the thing. Those are 3, 4, 5 that are from sworn affidavits that we don't have any corroborating evidence for. But there are several already that we do. Now, keep in mind, same thing in Georgia. People said you'll never find any difference with a recount. You'll never find any difference. Maybe one, actually found over 5,400 new votes, the overwhelming majority of which were for Donald Trump. And that wasn't a real recount. That was a show recount.
Yeah.
Right? That was political theater recount. Imagine if we had done an actual recount. Now, right here, people refuse to certify because they don't have access to the data, and they were doxxed and intimidated, and some Teamsters showed up with a 2x4 with a nail through it, and they said, okay, we'll certify. Yeah. And then they said that they were intimidated to vote. Now we see some of these affidavits are actually being confirmed, like ballots being run several times. Do we know that a city employee has backdated ballots? How do you check this when you're talking about hundreds of thousands of votes from a place with 0 registered voters?
Yeah.
And you have no record. How could you possibly test to see if it was a poll worker, a precinct worker filling in that ballot or backdating it or filling in the signature? Here's my question, Bill, is how could we possibly audit this at this point?
You go back and you count them all,
but that won't do anything.
You look at the ones that have the information. You compare them to the registered voter rolls,
which you don't have.
Who are not? Well, no,
right,
you have registered voter rolls. And you have the names on the ballots. But what they didn't do was bother to do anything to put the information that you would use to check. Right. So, for example, they're going to say, okay, let's say the answer was all of these people who voted, they're not registered voters. Okay, well, you can throw them all out, right? Or you would say, oh,
but they're not.
They are registered voters, but we just didn't check them to make sure. How would you check them? How would you have checked them in the first place? It's not like the ballots come in and they don't have a name on them. So you check the ballots against the existing. That's what the board is saying. They're saying these results don't make any sense. We need to do an audit.
But here's the thing, though. We have 173,000 votes from no registered voters. So what do you check it against? How do you find if it's an authentic signature if you don't have them on record?
Well, you're right on that point. My thing is there's only 2 ways to go about it. Either the ballots are not registered voters, and then there's nothing to check.
Right.
They're just off.
You throw them.
Or they are registered voters that the system failed to connect with an actual registered voter, and an audit would reveal whether or not those were, again, either real registered voters or not real registered voters. And the Canvas board is saying, guys, this is the only way to check it. This is the only way to think. We cannot certify, and they were bullied into saying.
But you would have to throw out hundreds of thousands of votes. You'd have to throw out those votes where there's no one registered voters. How would you check, though, when you canvass? How would you check to see if a city employee backdated the ballot? It seems to me there'd be no way to do that.
Well, some of those things are the major problems that you would not be able to.
Yeah.
So, for example, when the ballot comes in and you stamp a certain date on it, you can't tell unless you had a video that showed what the ballot was and the person stamping it, and the video had a timestamp. You wouldn't be able to know whether it came in on time or not on time. But the issue of registered voters is one where if you have the ballot, but the name, is it matched?
The backdate ballots. You're saying we would need videographic evidence. We need the state government to seize those red flyer wagons.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Hand it over.
Let's go.
Give me
share
your
and
Yeti.
share alike. Yeah, I don't know. This is the thing is, at this point, like you're saying, with those, God knows how many of them could have been backdated. This all happened in the dead of night, and the precinct was boarded up. You just have to, you cannot trust this vote in Michigan. You either have to do a revote, you'd have to toss so many votes, and then there are votes that you can't verify anyway. There's no possible way. This is a quagmire.
Yeah.
I just don't think that the Michigan election is illegitimate. There's no way to trust it right now, and I don't know if there's any way to certify it because A, no one in the legislature wants to look into these numbers. No one in the media is asking for these numbers. It was shocking to everyone here. I saw you all hanging with your mouths open like you were in a Disney film and Bugs Bunny just turned into a lady bunny. And I know that I'm mixing Warner Brothers and Disney, but shut up, Star Wars nerds. Go watch Mandalorian. My point here is this is something is illegitimate. I don't see any solution to it beyond throwing it out.
Well, and you have to take an extraordinary step because you can't say, oh, we did this, but then we mix them all together so you can never undo it. And so you just have to take the vote. No, you have to take whatever extraordinary step that is necessary to say we get to the right number. And by the way, it seems like states are trying to be worse than the state before. Like Arizona's like, oh, we're not done counting it. We're the slowest. And Georgia's like, hold my beer. We haven't even found all our votes yet. Right? Then you get to Michigan, like, we found all the votes we need.
Arizona's like, Arizona's saying, hold on. Don't rush me. We're taking our time.
Like
One Mississippi, Detroit's like, we got 173,000 in 4 seconds.
Yeah.
I mean,
red flag.
What are you doing?
I'm not sure what you mean by illegitimate vote, but I would say that there is a process by which we can determine
an illegitimate election.
Or I don't know what you mean by illegitimate election, but I would say to the point where you have a number of processes that
I feel like I was describing it for 30 minutes.
I think so, yeah.
Maury Povich says this.
I'm not saying I'm right.
I guess what I'm saying is I'm not ready to say that the entire state of Michigan and all of their votes need to be just discounted because that doesn't make any sense.
I think you need to revote. I think you need to revote and have some actual safeguards in place. You can't have poll workers and you have 0 registered voters and 170,000 votes coming in the dead of night, 97% of which are for Joe Biden, and no one is checking it, and people are being doxxed, and they're saying the only reason that we had to rescind our statement that we weren't going to certify is because we're afraid for our families. And then you have in the primaries 800 people who voted who were dead, and they're not even running this the same way in the primaries, and they're not even fixing it from the primaries. They're making it worse. I don't know how you trust it.
Well, there's no revote option. There's not an option to revote. But then you toss the entire state and you go to every person, Republican or Democrat, and you say, we're just going to ignore it. But there is a process that will reveal the fraud to the extent of where these lack of registered voters or are they not registered? And you're right. If this is the normal process, the courts will go and say, hey, if the way people were taking these in was backdating them and we have evidence that shows that they were being backdated, you take that lump of ballots and you take them out.
My point is
and
you
leave
can't
the
prove
rest.
it. There can be no evidence, like you said, unless someone was there with a Nikon going, oh, they're backdating it. So the stuff that we do have is bad enough where there's 0 registered voters. They've been asked. No one's answering for it. And then there are things that you can't prove. I mean, the electors are the ones who certify the election. I think it has to go to them. That's what happens.
Right.
When it's based on fraud. And I think this is so severe in Michigan more than any other state. Because again, it doesn't pass the reason test when you look into how red these counties are and how some of them switched, some of them didn't. And then the county where we were most curious, especially because we wanted to see how Donald Trump performed in the inner city Detroit with the black vote, because the early polls showed that he was up like 30-something%, had a 48% or 46% approval rating with black voters, if only as a case study to see what would happen, to see how much progress Donald Trump has made for black voters in the Republican Party. We have none of it.
And the lies don't even make sense. I mean, like they don't. If you look at all the other data, you would have to say that these certain precincts, and not even all the precincts, just the absentee votes go against all the data in every other precinct in every other county in every other state that did the elections.
And throughout history, by the way.
Right.
Throughout history.
Even know whether it was stupid or not stupid because you didn't even know it existed.
Right.
So that was the point. Sometimes the most blatant lies are stupid once you see them, but the point was you were never going to see them.
Yeah.
You were never going to know they were there. But then once you see them, you're like, oh, so obvious now.
Yeah.
But
That's a good
how many weeks has it been? And no one has pointed this
And that's
issue
the
out.
fault. That's the fault of obviously the leftist media. They won't. There's no level of fraud.
Well, they just assume that everybody's going to look at it like that.
Right. Well, there's no level of fraud because when there was the 128,000 typo in Wisconsin, this is more severe, by the way, and we were messaging that, what's his name, Pete Bump, whatever it was, something Bump, Philip Bump at the Washington Post. He said, well, that came in from a Biden county. We found out it was a typo. They actually added a zero.
Right.
Right. But at that moment in time, they just said, well, who cares? That's normal. They weren't willing to investigate 100,000 blip. And what I'm saying is this is actually more severe than the typo, and no one cares. And so conservatives are at fault too, though. The leftist media, they know that you are not going to be doing any digging. That's why you watch them when you're in an airport on a layover. But the people on the right, and this is what also bothers me sometimes, is they give you red meat and they want you to rah, yeah, voter fraud. And I've seen some people share these videos that are really bad on the algorithmic voter fraud. One of them was from Dr. Something, and it's this graph, and it's been shared to me 100. And listen, it's dishonest, and it's using statistics to mislead people.
Yeah.
So what you have is the left wing keeping it completely silent, and then you have people on the right not actually doing the digging. And so here you are. This shouldn't be the first place you're hearing from. You should hear this everywhere. You should hear it on every major AM radio show. You should hear it on every major conservative podcast. You should be certainly hearing it on Fox News and CNN. The fact that we are doing it, we're doing these research. Is there something going on? Did we lose the stream or something like that?
We just dropped 10,000 people.
Oh,
on
really?
The stream.
Okay. Just randomly gone. All right.
The algorithm.
By the way, this is a good opportunity as any to say, hey, please do follow us on Parler, because Facebook, YouTube, we never know when those walls are going to close in, like whatever the first Star Wars was. I have no idea.
Is that the garbage chute?
So yes.
Yeah.
So we have to go to Nick DiPaolo on Mug Club after this, but first there's a video making the rounds now. Is it what's the company? Cut. And what's the name of the video? It's what are white people superior at?
Yeah.
Is it superior at?
Superior at.
That's actually the title.
I believe so, yes.
Well, listen. I don't want to start a race war, but titling.
I don't know. Grammar.
So here's the thing. I want to be clear, by the way, trigger warning, this video is incredibly racist. The fact that it's still allowed on YouTube is mind-boggling to me. It's just a bunch of mostly black people and then some kind of shapeshifters. I don't know.
Who knows?
Non-racial binary.
Hey, right here.
Berating white people. No, didn't
now.
you find out? I think it was Harvard recently said that Asians aren't actually people of color.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
You lost.
Welcome to
you're
the world
still
of privilege.
it's really
my friend.
more of a
Thing I
shade.
married a Mexican.
There's still hope for your children.
So this is on YouTube, of course, and this was featured there on the YouTube page. You know nothing about this, and I told Dave, because he works with. I said, it's a racist video, and there are
really
some
bad.
third rails, because I don't think that we could respond in exact kind. And let me be clear, I don't believe anything they're saying, just like I wouldn't believe these stereotypes if they were to be uttered about black people. But this is the video. We are all going to react to the video from Cut, featured on YouTube, titled, What Are White People Superior At?
What exactly are white people superior at?
Oh, well, according to television, everything. A white man could fly. Even a white woman, she could be 4'1". She knew karate. She could take down 15 people.
Okay, pause.
What's a false?
Pause really quickly.
What's a false?
Are there no black superheroes?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot.
That's what I call evidence. Check your sources. No. White people cannot fly. DC is not. It's not a bibliography. This is.
Well, that's what it was according to your imagination.
Yeah.
They can fly.
Right, according to fake.
Right.
And she has something against short white people?
According to your imagination, you can vote 9 times in Detroit.
Look,
So we
I don't
all
like
have.
Dave either.
I'm 5'5". I can barely get out of bed from depression.
All right, let's keep going. Just doesn't get any better.
No one said what
And
a false
also,
is.
They don't really do karate. They don't really know martial arts. They're
Right.
called
Yeah,
actresses.
it's called a movie.
Kind of like how Foxy Brown was.
Yeah, exactly. This is not a new thing. Do we have it? Can you?
yeah,
Bring?
okay.
All right, let's continue playing.
What are white people superior at?
Man.
Are you?
Is this a white person asking this? Sounds like it.
Oh,
Someone in
God.
Brooklyn.
What are white people's superior
I don't know
acts?
what that is. Looks like she should be banging a drum in Nick Sandman's face.
Mostly about their pets.
White people love their dogs. Like, that's all you see.
What a crime.
Letting them get on your countertops while you're cooking.
That is a crime.
Yes.
I get that you love your pet, but like you need to take it everywhere, like everywhere. I guess, you know, hey.
Just to the
emotional support
bathtub you
animals, I guess.
electrocuted him.
Fuck, just out to the yard to shoot it for not winning the fight.
What kind of casserole?
Tuna.
Yeah.
It's always tuna. What do you mean? It's always tuna.
Pause. That's Black Dane cook humor, and that it's something that's totally unrelatable. Like, listen, everyone here knows that white people always eat fucking tuna. Ooh! They eat the tuna, they walk in, they grab the tuna, they put it in their mouth. They can't get enough tuna when they're white. I am white. I have never had a tuna casserole ever.
Ever.
Matter like, what are black people superior at? Nah, watermelon. First off, it's like it's not. Well, Dave Chappelle has. Maybe black people do like certain foods, and I'm sure white people do like certain foods.
Yes, of course.
The difference is white people can be Irish, they can be Italian, right? They can be German, so they can like Wiener Schnitzel, they can like pasta, they can like potatoes and haggis if they're Scottish. I have no idea. We all have preferences, but tuna casserole is not a white thing.
No,
we're not superior.
You tuna eat.
I don't know.
Tuna eat star kiss, bitch.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I'm Asian from the waist up, and I love tuna. So
it is white
this
fish.
Asian mouth loves tuna.
Man, you stupid. Chicken of the sea, is that shit chicken or is it tuna?
I deep fried it. I was like, this ain't no chicken.
This ain't no chicken. Oh, tuna? Oh, that's white people food.
I ain't never gonna eat no muff. Ugh.
I'm gonna spit it out on the cat on the counter. All right, let's keep watching.
Why you pet your dogs? Why don't you hit it?
Yeah.
Phil's like, why don't you eat it?
It is just strange.
Really, Gerald?
He's experimented.
Yeah. Sorry, Bill.
Couldn't
You know
wanna
I
say
actually
that-
do.
Yes.
We may not be better at much, but at least give us not littering.
Yes.
Yeah.
No. White people are terrible at littering. That's why the
don't
entire
agree.
state motto of Texas is "Don't litter here."
Well, that's why there's not litter, though. They listen. They're like, you're right.
No.
Yeah, I will say white people are better at listening. They are better at following instructions. You tell them not to litter, they don't litter. You tell motherfucker don't burn down Walgreens, it makes me kind of want to do it. Let's continue. Of course, this is all in good fun. They're the racists.
It's in a lot of their recipes.
Making bland food.
Unseasoned chicken.
How are you gonna start whole spice wars and don't even use seasoning on your food?
Okay,
I mean, come
hold
on.
on.
Yeah, pause. Is he talking about the West Indian Trading Company?
First of all, Bob Evans has a fine, flavorful menu. I'm not buying any of this. Come on, guys.
I mean, for crying out loud, think about all like hot wings. I don't know if that's a white. That was two guys in Buffalo.
It's.
What are they talking about?
I'll give it to him. I would still say it's a black food.
Okay.
I mean,
they've appropriated it.
They've
I hate that I'm even talking about it. This is the whole beauty of America is you can be black and eat pasta. You don't have to be an old-time Guinea. You can eat chicken wings and be white, or you can be black. You can eat Irish stew and be white or black. This is like you are separating all of us on things that A, don't even matter and aren't even true. So we're going to continue teasing you at the level at which you actually are racist, but in gentle prodding.
Let's see more.
Smelling funky. Santa Claus.
Smelling funky. Come on.
Corn mazes.
White people are great
Cocoa butter?
at having fun. That's a function of white supremacy because they just don't have as many stresses as we do.
White people are very
Having fun is racist.
Yeah, hold on a second. We don't have pause. White people. That's a function. White people have fun. It's a function of white supremacy because they don't have as many stresses. Paying taxes. I mean, listen, employing people. Not saying that black people don't pay taxes, but there's a significant portion of white and black people who don't pay taxes. 47% of Americans don't pay federal income tax.
Did I see the wrong house party?
You can tell by the haircut.
I am so I can't. I'm like seeing red here.
Well, that's why would you see red? You don't have any stresses.
Oh my gosh! Insane. What I think to be incredible.
Yeah, it is probably.
You smell like wet dog.
One man's funk is another man's.
You got that white man funk.
Funk. It is funky. Yes, you do smell funky.
And not funk in a good way.
But just think about how racist that gentleman in the mask has to be to have accused every other person of color of being unable to or at a severe disadvantage of having fun. Right? I'm going to tell you right now. now, trade me spots with Kanye. Just do it. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'll take all the shit about running late to even apply for an election. Give it to me. I will take it.
Yeah.
I will even switch and be Beyonce. That is fine. Give that to me. Like, it's obviously just dog whistles. It's just crazy.
What do you mean? And also, that's one thing I always thought. They're like, white people, oh, you're so lame and uptight, you can't dance. Like, listen, I would assume, black people do have more fun. I go to a black nightclub and it's bouncing. You go to a white club, they're line dancing. Everyone looks miserable. They're just like, kill me! Please! I can't deviate from this awful set of moves that nobody enjoys.
You go to a gay nightclub, there's a white shooter having no fun at all. Too far.
To be fair, no one else was enjoying themselves.
Yeah. But then this idea. Oh man,
no stressors.
Why did you give me something to break over here?
No stressors. Right. Yeah. Okay.
I had to go.
Especially based on your other stereotypes. White people have no stressors. You say that the next time a country music festival becomes the worst mass shooting in American history.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it was white people and Hootie.
And an Asian girl.
Hey,
I forget his name now.
Darius Rucker?
That's it. He'll always be Hootie to me.
I wish we had still forgotten it.
The
All
dolphins
right.
make him cry.
Let's continue with the rate. Thanks, Cut.
We do not have the privilege to do whatever and however we want to.
What exactly are white people superior at?
Not getting arrested.
You know, I was driving down the street down the highway with a friend of mine who was white, and he's like, I just want to pull over and pee. And I'm in the passenger seat. And I was like, please don't. Because a black man thinks differently. If I pull over to the side of the road and pee, a cop is going to be right behind me to punish me.
What exactly are white people
Okay, pause.
Insecure.
That may or may not be true. But first off, anyone can be punished for peeing in the side of the road.
Yeah,
right.
I know someone who had to become a registered sex offender for peeing in a park at night when he thought no one was there. And that's why you can look through the archives. I think if you just type in, if YouTube searches are working right now, which probably not after this video, if you type in Steven Crowder pee instructions, I taught people how to pee while driving on a long road trip. The key is you have to be all the way over in the white lane and a wide mouth Gatorade bottle. In other words, it's not lost on me that the fuzz could take me down for public urination. So you're just out of touch.
Did you say the white lane?
The white lane.
I thought he said white lane.
White lane.
Yeah.
He's like, you got to be in the white lane. Because if you drive in the white lane, they don't pull you over.
Here's the thing. If you're driving, right, here's the thing. You have to be all the way over in the right lane.
Yeah.
Okay? You have to hold your arm here so no one can see. Because the passenger side here, if I'm this far, doesn't matter what I'm doing. Look, you can see it. It's like a Dave Landau sex tape.
My strong preference is, as you recall, is one of the few rules is that you not admit to crimes on the show.
Peeing while driving is not a crime.
Yes, it is.
Well,
allegedly.
I had a tube. Continue.
I don't want to know where that was.
Play the video.
Long drive catheters.
Yes.
Really?
Pretending,
fear, being fearful of nothing, being ignorant,
Letting their egos control their every move.
privilege.
Privilege, feeling victimized.
Playing the victim.
Congratulating themselves over shit that they're incompetent at or that should have already been done.
They're superior at being dicks.
What exactly are white people?
Wow. All right.
Wow.
What am I just this? Okay, look. Let's take this. Hey, YouTube, take this out of context. Black people are only superior at being dicks. Now, I hope that's taken out of context so you can now scan 30 seconds in either direction. That is the definition of racism. We've gone past differences like they smell different. Listen, I think we'll all acknowledge that you have certain people from people from different races smell different. Different people from different areas of the country smell different. Different people like different foods. I don't think that's racism to recognize differences. Right. I think racism is believing that one race of people is superior to another solely because of their race. And I think saying white people, all white people in general are dicks, pejorative, qualifies, you racist bitch.
Not in general. All white people are superior at being dicks.
And tipping.
I mean, look, that's a true statement. If being dicks was a true statement, then maybe it would not be racist, but it is racist because it is not true.
Oh my gosh.
Of course. There are 7, maybe 8% of the white population that is not dicks. And that's true. I mean, none of them are here, but...
No, I know at least 2 or 3 white friends that I have that aren't dicks.
Yeah, this room would not be a good sample state.
Yeah.
No, I look, and I know white people that, they'll tip, maybe 12%.
Yeah, his name is Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
All right, let's continue.
The key is to round down.
down. All right.
Gaslighting, lack of empathy,
intellectualizing oppression.
Did I say oppression?
They're just
What is
creatively
that?
thinking
Sorry.
of
This is
new
hardcore
ways of
projection
like
right here.
always staying one step ahead of other people. We get rid of slave catchers, then let's just expand the police force. Like that stuff to me is wild.
What exactly are white
Can we
people?
pause?
Is this all? No, you're gonna. You guys are pulling a prank on me. This is all one big glorified ad for Spirit Halloween costumes.
It's got to be.
right?
Yeah, this is the.
Look, we got Predator. We got mid-century farmer.
In all sizes.
Look, we got. Take a guess.
I mean,
we got Girl from the Craft, but really.
You talking about? We got the. You mean the one from like American History X who's really gummy and shit?
Real gummy.
Yeah, look.
Yeah, well, look at this collar.
We paid that bitch scale.
This collar will fit a whale.
Also, something you privilege you get to wear. You whaling. I ain't never been whaling.
You want a Pharrell almost sombrero hat? Sorry.
This is the worst thing.
Oh my god!
I was wondering if this was real.
This is absolutely real.
It's kind of
100% real.
Is it really?
Yeah, and they're all in Biden's cabinet.
Real.
Let's continue watching.
Believe that we don't matter.
Believing that they're superior.
Feeling superior.
Thinking they're superior.
Thinking that they're superior.
Thinking
that they are
like if someone called all black people dicks.
Self-delusion.
Yeah.
Controlling the narrative.
Like that.
Believing their own press.
Marketing of white superiority.
Whether you are Republican,
What?
or
Oh my
Democrat,
God.
whether
Come on, that's a
conservative,
voice.
white people are really
Chocolate
good at upholding white supremacy.
How about claiming that, they are actually a whole separate race, when actually white DNA comes from the black female?
Then what are we
exactly
arguing
are white
about?
Can we pause?
Okay.
Honey,
How many people here do we think voted for Biden, a white man? In this video.
97%.
They were voting Kamala.
I bet you find more votes for Donald Trump in this cast than in Wayne County.
Yeah,
Secret
in the
votes.
dump at 4 a.m.
But how many more registered voters? Probably.
yeah, well, that's
Take
fair
the
point.
number of the cast and then subtract 0.
I mean, we know for a fact that this violates every social media platform's stated guidelines.
Oh yeah, remember how we were
course.
looking? As you know, it's not that we have been archiving this. This is one to save.
Yeah, there's 1,000 of them.
Yeah, we have a lot of,
This
but
is
I don't
the
think
top-
anyone has been this
This
bad.
is
This
the
one's
top
egregious.
of the list.
Shut up, you Chinese piece of shit.
Yes.
I am stealing and cheating, manipulation.
shown,
with
you know?
Manipulation. But it's
kind of way.
He was just looking. He was looking for the gods. Seriously, just imagine it. Like people get mad because I go.
No,
"What
I
is
thought
for-"
YouTube was going to
I go,
crash through the
I was
ceiling
trying to
like
cut it
white
away.
Superman and like, you demonetized.
You Chinaman prick. I don't know.
We probably
we
did
already
not
got
have it.
to
Yeah, we
move
already
for
got
fact
it.
checking.
Yeah.
It's like we talk. Like people get mad. They say it's offensive. It's funny. We've had these conversations with some random people, at some point who may or may not, and they're like, do you constantly have to refer to your lawyer as half Asian? That seems as though it's like that's the point, right? But that is considered more offensive than like what is it? Just all white people are dicks.
Well, I come from a black woman.
Yes,
Yeah, we all do. We all do.
I do think it is
because you're a crack baby.
Incredibly ironic to say there's no
Blame my
race, but you came from this race.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, I
Yeah.
just thought we just literally a half sentence earlier, you said there's no race.
So why are you
Race is a figment of your imagination. Oh, I guess if you wanna, and fuck you, white boy. I'm confused.
Yeah.
It's like that old test. When you look at the dress, do you see a gold
Right, yeah.
dress or a black dress? These people just want to burn it.
Yes.
No.
And by these people, I mean these people
And I wonder-
in this video who
Right.
are racist. I mean this
All
cut
of them.
Klan rally.
I wonder how goaded they are, too, by the white person with their guilt that put this video together and edited it.
Yeah.
Because that's what it feels like.
Did any of them feel oppressed that it was a white person that asked them to do this? That
I don't
it's
know.
A white person behind the camera, that it's a white person that owns this company.
I don't think we have the full video, but at the end of it, actually, you hear a kind of like Talk Soup. You hear a slow clap from the producer, and it's just David Duke.
Yes.
All right, let's keep watching.
part out.
How much longer? Is it another?
Oh, we got about a minute, 2 minutes.
Okay, a minute. 2 minutes.
Oh.
2 minutes? All right, let's get into this.
Lies. What kind of lies? The lies of history. They say that history is written by
They know
the victor,
Biden.
but
The victor could be replaced by the colonizer.
What are white people superior at?
Conquering. Imperialism.
Expect your mouth to open up for me to cut a ball through.
They might
I thought it
be
was
better
King
at that
Hippo.
than us and everybody else, really.
They ballsy. They rose up all over the world, and they walk into everybody's house and says, "Oh, this is nice. I'm gonna take your shit," and they have no qualms about it.
Yeah. Hold on a second. It's a bunch of white people who committed $2 billion in damage right now with these Black Lives Matter riots.
I mean, there were a lot of white Antifa people in it.
There were some white Antifa people,
Yeah.
but it was Black Lives Matter riots. So if you're going to blame us for all the evils of white people, does the label Black Lives Matter take responsibility for the crimes committed at the Black Lives Matter rallies, even though there were some white people there? I'm just saying.
I really see a powdered wig during a home invasion. I'd love to blame the settlers.
Yeah. It's like all of their references for white people, like old Cagney films.
Well, they said.
Listen, see, I'm gonna take your stuff, Sonny. Don't call the coppers, see? They won't trust you because you're Negro, right?
Well, they said they got rid of slave catchers and brought in the police. I'm like, I don't know if we're thinking the same thing here.
Yeah, well, that's their argument, is the police is the modern-day slave force.
But where's the highest levels of police brutality? Where are the highest levels of black crimes and jailing for crimes and arrests? They're in Democratic-controlled cities that have, for a large part, been controlled by minorities, both as chief of police, mayors, city council.
Don't give me some have to fact check. You know that the average is skewed by Kamala Harris. She put in more black.
That's true.
She's like Rudy Giuliani in reducing crime. She put in so many nonviolent black offenders behind bars that it skews the numbers.
But
it's
look,
not fair.
Hey, that was the past, and the present now. She is no longer in charge of.
Yeah.
I don't know, but she wears Chuck Taylors. My vote. Let's continue with this.
Yeah, she also listened to Tupac in 1985.
Let's hear it.
All right. Is it freezing on us?
Now for the adventure.
No. That's in horrible taste.
There we go.
We can't bring up our white privilege boy sketch right now. That might be accused of soft racism as opposed to hardcore racism.
Just play it.
Let's just skip to the last minute because I don't have much.
Genocide. It's like stealing people's lives just because they feel like it. If you are white and you know this is happening,
you're pretty white.
You say no, then you're a killer too. You are adopting
like a photo negative of a microphone
that says it's okay to do this, and part of that philosophy allows you to be ignorant, right? And they're like, oh, I didn't know.
What exactly are white people superior at?
Taking what's not there. Taking shit.
Taking our ideas.
Copycat.
Gentrification.
Hey, hold on a second. Pause it.
Gentrification.
Can someone bring up the armed robbery stats? Like, here's the thing. For comparison, because I don't think I'm just saying I don't think we're very. It's not one of our skill sets.
But look, the point isn't that there's a certain race that is actually predisposed by their genetics to do certain things. It's that bad people exist in all races, right? And that's the whole point.
And the problem is that, unfortunately, in the black community right now, they're encouraged by this kind of hateful rhetoric. Yeah. And this is the kind of hateful rhetoric. When you say white people are dicks, they steal, commit genocide, and they want to enslave black people, that's how you justify violence against white people, just like that's how you justify violence against Trump supporters by calling them Nazis. This here justifies black violence, black on white violence, which to me is a horrible thing. So is white on black violence. So is black on black violence. But this right here justifies it because you talk about white people on a level that is subhuman, and that is what leads to the verifiable crime statistics that refute your argument.
It also shows their own insecurity, and that's the problem. Is this brutalizes both groups? This is something to mess up both sides because it is designed to make us angry, and it is designed to make them feel like they are less important in our society.
All right. Okay, let's continue watching this. And then I had a quick trip story from this morning with a black guy, but I don't know if I can tell it.
Things that do not belong to them.
Taking over other people's cultures and making you believe that they invented it.
Maybe they're thinking of it as repurposing. It's like recycle and repurpose.
As my grandma would say, the white folk, they'll take it if you don't copyright it.
They are very good at destruction of land, destruction of people, destruction of humanness.
What exactly are white people superior at?
White people are not superior with anything.
Nothing.
There's nothing.
I don't believe that they're superior in any way, shape, or form.
I love her.
Our skin color is different.
Well, I don't know. I would say, listen, I wouldn't, and I certainly wouldn't make. That's enough.
No superiority there.
That's the generalization there. I certainly wouldn't make the argument that they're superior at editing or doing end cards because that sounded like a white person asking the questions. But I certainly wouldn't argue that white people are incompetent at everything, nor would I argue that with black people. I cannot believe that that is allowed to stay up and actually got some juice from big companies with the big tech overlords.
Yeah.
I would love to see a video where it's just white people saying the exact same things.
Right.
Why don't we make
put it out there?
Yeah, Gerald's going to do it.
I think maybe
blur the faces maybe to keep people from getting killed, right?
You know,
but put it out there and then wait.
There's going to be a blurred.
Black people are dicks.
Yeah, exactly.
What are black people good at? Nothing.
I would have to say dunking.
Yeah. They smell bad and they like their pets.
Yeah, can you imagine the reaction that you would
They
get?
like
What
to
is
show
it?
their pets the world. They've
Never
like
seen
to
a black
take them
person
out
with
of
a
their
pet.
homes.
Right.
Ever.
Dog fighting.
Wait.
Taking my furniture.
All right, well, listen, I don't know if is Nick DiPaolo still going to be on after? Because I know he probably is mad that we have him late. Should be good. Okay. So sorry, Nick.
Yeah.
We're going to be going. So let me tell you a quick
Or
story
you
here.
missed that last bit.
Yeah, he did. This happened this morning. I was at a. You know what? Well, here, actually, really quick. We'll end on this. I was at Quick Trip, as you well know. And people want to say that America is divided, and Quick Trip not a sponsor, but you should be, because I will not set foot in the Turkish prison that is Racetrack.
As you should not.
So I was at a Quick Trip this morning. I had to go pick up some half and half for the missus, and so I go in, and the sign says you have to wear a mask, right? So everyone's wearing a mask. I'm like, okay, put it on just because I don't want to cause a scene.
Right.
And this black guy walks right past me, and he's not wearing a mask, and he walks right in. And this was the exact conversation. I said, "Oh man, not wearing a mask." I said, good for you. That's ballsy. And he goes, "Man, what the fuck are you talking about? What is this shit?" I said, no. And I tore off my mask symbolically. I said, no, listen, I'm saying that's a ballsy move. I appreciate that you walked in, you did your thing, and he goes, "Man, it's too fucking early. I'm telling you. You know how they repeat, "I'm telling you." I said, hey, it's a compliment. Take the win. And he mumbled and he walked out, and I realized this is where we are in this country. For some reason, people are so uptight. You have the COVID, you have the tension, you have the mask, and then you have this racial tension because probably because people are watching videos like Cut, they think that if a white person offers them a compliment, that somehow it's some kind of an insult.
Yeah.
If I said that, I was very clear in complimenting him. After that, I purchased my half and half. I walked out, and there were some police officers nearby. And I have told you, I go by and I always thank police officers. And I said, "Hey, I just want to thank you for your service." And they always go, "Well, man, thank you. People don't do that nowadays." And then I noticed the black guy was in his car, and he popped his head out, and he thought that I was telling the cops that he didn't wear a mask. And then I felt racist because he thought I was racist. And I said to the cops, I really appreciate you guys. As actual first, I know you're not like grade school teachers or anything, but being shot at in record numbers, I consider you first responders. They said, "Thanks, man. We don't get a lot of thank yous." So do make sure that you don't tell someone, "Hey, good for you for doing whatever you're doing." Just like, in other words, this is the lesson. People are of different races. Just don't talk to each other.
No.
Just listen to Cut, listen to Kamala Harris, and just learn that we should be more divided than ever. That's the message to take away from President Biden-elect. And this is something else. Sometimes people say, "Why are you so positive? Why when the country is going to crap with the election," right? This has happened. We had the election stream. Look, this is not me putting up appearances. I really do think that the country tends to be a better place today than it was yesterday, and tomorrow than today. I tend to believe that in the long run, the United States, and I know that won't last forever, but you kind of look at, the pendulum swings both ways, right? And the pendulum swung from Barack Obama, so I'm doing your left here, to Donald Trump really hard, as hard as you possibly could, right? You went from Barack Obama, far left, to Donald Trump, not necessarily far right, but perceived that way. And that was a harder swing than from George W. Bush, center right, to Barack Obama.
Right.
And now we've gone to Biden, which I would say is not as hard of a swing as George Bush was to Barack Obama. And when people say, "What is your hope for the country?" Here's what I will say. When I first got my concealed carry license, this was in Texas, and they used to be able to do it where you could do it in someone's house as long as there was a certification. And this was right before Barack Obama was becoming president. And the guy asked me, because at this point I was on Fox News, he said, "Well, what do you think's going to happen with our country?" And I said, optimistic, cautiously. I think that Barack Obama is probably going to do some damage with policies, but I think we have systems in place that can rectify that. And he said, I think in 2 months, people will be shooting each other in the street for a loaf of bread. So whenever someone says the country's going away and it's done, I picture that guy and how crazy and wrong he was. And, his predictions are about the same chance of getting it right as Dick Morris. So chin up. Things aren't that bad. There's always a silver lining, and this is the United States of America. Don't be defeatist, because then you just allow yourself to be defeated. Right now, actually, we do have to hit like if you're watching this.
Yes.
Hit like right now, because that helps this video get out to everybody, especially with the voter fraud segment. But for everyone else, right now, we are going to go exclusively to Mug Club. We have Nick DiPaolo and your chat. YouTube, Wait, is there something on? Piss off, YouTube.